Hi, James.
Hi, Dr. Roizen. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Living longer.
Good.
Here to talk about his new book, The Great Age Reboot, Cracking Out the Longevity Code for a Younger Tomorrow. Dr. Roizen is here. He's going to share some tips on advice and details on how to prepare for a longer, healthier future as the human lifespan expands to 100 years and beyond. Good morning, Dr. Roizen. How are you?
Great, James. And you?
Uh, Again, hoping to live a little bit longer. So, in a nutshell, what are some of the newest scientific breakthroughs and discoveries that will enable us to live longer?
Well, since 1890, we've expanded, that is, public health and medical science has expanded the life expectancy of Americans from about 41 to 78 now in a relatively straight line fashion of about 2.5 years every 10 years. But in this next 10-year period, we expect a 30-year expansion because of the 14 areas of research into the basic mechanism of aging. So let me give you one example. That's plasma exchange. This really started in the 1960s when you donated red blood from a young rat to an old rat, and the old rat became young again. Well, they thought it was something in the blood, but as things have evolved, it turns out it's a plasma donation. It's getting rid of old cells and old plasma, and you regenerate new plasma and new proteins, and that over a period of time in animals makes the animals' muscles younger, the cardiovascular system younger, their pancreas, their liver younger, even the brain, and that's moving into human trials. So all of these 14 areas have shown in at least at least two animal studies to make you the equivalent of 40 years old when your calendar age is 90. Now it's moving into human trials. So the plasma exchange, donating 1 unit of plasma, if you will, every week for 5 weeks, and then once a month for the next 4 months. So 9 donations over 5 months. They followed these people with early dementia out in a randomized controlled study for at least 15 months. They improve every area of cognitive function that they've looked at gets better. And that's it, reversing cognitive aging or reversing dementia. So that's just one of the areas. And the second of those randomized controlled trials, that was a smaller study, 300 patients in, I think, six centers, 2 in Spain, 2 in Chile, and Pittsburgh and Cleveland Clinic. Now they're going to be doing 3,000 patients, as I understand it, in 100 centers, much bigger study. And if it comes out the same, then we'll all be donating plasma because every part of our body in these studies looks like they get younger. And there are 14 of these areas, and there are things you can do to prepare for it now, and it's good for society.
That's interesting. You remind me of the movie Free Jack and the other one with Michael Douglas, which I can't remember at the moment, but those are the first 2 things that come to my mind. So, what advice can you share on how to not only endure but thrive in our golden years and beyond?
Well, the first thing, the greatest ager is stress, and there are over 180 things you can do in general. But the first thing to tackle is stress management. And the most important thing in stress, shown over and over again, is having friends and having a purpose in life. So your purpose in life is to share this information with your audience. Mine is to help also distribute it so that people are prepared for it. But friends are really important. And it takes, when we're young, it's easy to get friends because of sports and school. But as we get older, you've got to work at getting friends. So work at that getting friends is one of the things. Develop a posse. The second thing is add speed to both your games, your brain games, and the things you do, physical activity. When you stress a muscle, whether it's by gardening or playing ping pong or whatever, paddleball, whatever you do, or pickleball, whatever you do that stresses a muscle, that turns on a gene. So we are genetic engineers. What we've learned is that our actions change the switches that control our genes, and all genes are protein-making factories that are either on or off. And you get to control over 80% of those switches. So turning on those switches to make a small protein by doing physical activity. When you stress a muscle, you turn on a gene in your muscle that produces a small protein called ricin. It goes to your brain and actually expands the brain center that is responsible for memory. So it's much less likely if you do physical activity, not only are you making your heart and blood vessels function better, which helps your brain, but you're also directly increasing the size of your memory center, so it's much less likely that you have memory dysfunction as you get older. So there are many things you can do like that. So another one, you want to do things you love doing and that love you back. So you may not like walking, but you may like, if you will, playing ping pong or gardening or just, if you will, doing calisthenics with your grandkids. Whatever you like, do. That's the same with food. Food is a relationship. You wouldn't marry someone who's trying to kill you. You shouldn't eat food that's trying to kill you. So you may love French fries, but they're trying to kill you. The goal is find something you love that loves your body back in every sphere. So avocado or salmon, which love your body, and you may love it. So find foods you love. Same with other things you do. So simple things like having an ounce, if you will, of blueberries a day, or a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. Or I love coffee, and so having 4 cups of coffee if you're a fast metabolizer and don't get headaches, anxiety, gastric upset, or abnormal heartbeats, then you're a fast metabolizer, and then more coffee is better at decreasing your risk of cognitive dysfunction as well as a bunch of cancers and heart disease. There are other things you can do. So, for example, we think the brain is the most important. And so one of the bodybuilding supplements that people take when they're kids is creatine. Well, creatine also helps preserve your muscles as you get older so you don't get frailty. But in randomized studies, it also helps brain functioning. So there are a whole raft, over 180 things in the book you can do that help you stay younger until this reboot comes along. And you can find them also on our website at greatagereboot.com.
Now, where else can we find your book, The Great Age Reboot?
Well, it's at most of the local independent bookstores, as well as bn.com, barnesandnoble.com, as well as at amazon.com, of course. So you can find it almost any place, James. Thank you for asking.
I appreciate it. Dr. Roizen, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend.
Thank you.